a special edition of Music Mondays. My name is Lesego Lehari and I will be your host for this very exclusive interview with Rashad Sylvester. And we're going to be talking about his new project called Let It Play. Hello, welcome.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Doing great.
Lovely, lovely. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having us. We are really excited. We feel very special to do the exclusive interview for your new project.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Lovely. So let's talk about you first. Before we even talk about the album, let's talk about where you grew up. You're from Cincinnati, Ohio. I think that's how it's pronounced.
Yep, Cincinnati. Wait, say it again?
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, yeah. I like that. I didn't even pronounce that way.
So let's talk about your background, how you grew up, and where did your love for music come from?
Well, my main love for music came from my household. My parents are both vocalists. They sing. And my dad was a musician as well. He grew up playing bass and drums. And he was a painter as well. So we all just kind of grew up in like just this big musical environment. And then he also played at our church. Mm-hmm. So, and they both sang in the choir. So I was always like in the choir with them, like even when I was like 4 or 5 years old. I wouldn't be singing anything, I'd just be sitting there with like him next to him playing the drums and all that stuff. So I was just always just like in that vicinity. And that's where like the love for it came from before I even knew that I had it, you know? Yeah. That's where it came from.
Okay, that's very interesting. And do you have any siblings growing up?
Yeah. So I have a younger sister. She's like 14 months younger than me. It's so funny. The way that I started is actually because she played first.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. She played piano before me. So yeah, the whole story is that like she played for like 3 years, from ages like 7 to 9. Yeah. And I would always go to the rehearsals with her, and I would just sit there in the back with my mom. I wouldn't say anything. I would just listen.
Yeah, you're a pretty funny guy, I would say.
Yeah. So yeah, I know. So she would do the rehearsals and I would just sit there. And then when we would go home, she would practice. And then when she would be done practicing, I would go in. And like, I wouldn't know what I was doing, but I would just sit there and just play, bang out some notes or whatever. So what ended up happening was she did that for 3 years. And then she had a recital coming up and she didn't want to do it anymore. Like she told my mom and dad, she was like, I quit, I don't want to do this, blah, blah. They were upset about that. So a couple of months passed, and what they started to notice was there was actually a musician at our church. He was like teaching me some songs on the keyboard before I knew anything about it. And next thing you know, it was like before I even took lessons, I already knew a couple songs. So then my dad just kind of came to me. He was like, "You want to play?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, like, I'll do it." So I did that. And next thing you know, it just took off from there. I started when I was 10. And just never look back from there.
Shit, it's very interesting. I didn't know that story. And now you're a producer. So you're a musician. Do you play piano? You sing? Or yes, and you also produce music.
Yeah. So I play a total of 7 instruments.
Wow, walk us through that.
So piano, organ, viola, electric bass, drums. The baritone euphonium was like a brass instrument, and then trumpet, a little bit of trumpet. Okay,
a viola. What's a viola?
Viola is just like a violin. It's like, orchestral instrument. It's kind of like a brother instrument of the violin. So I actually started playing the piano and the viola at the same time. Yeah. Back in the 5th grade.
Fifth grade. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And the producing, when did you start producing music?
The whole producing story is pretty funny. I had a friend back in high school, and me and him used to kind of meet up, and we would try to make beats and stuff like that. But it was, childish instrumental stuff.
Yeah, I think every child grows up trying to make beats using Fruity Loops. Yeah. My brothers used to do it too. I'm like, hey, this thing, I don't get it, but I guess it's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I still use Fruity Loops. Fruity Loops is like a perfectly fine platform. It's just you gotta know how to use it the right way. So that's what we used to do. And then I tried to do it some more like my freshman year of college. And as my ears were maturing more, I started to actually like hear the stuff I was producing. I'm like, this is not good. So I'm like, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna just focus on playing for a couple years. I'm gonna come back to this a couple years later. So I was doing that, and then really what happened was once I moved to Nashville, I transferred to go to TSU, and I graduated from TSU and all that stuff. And then I met up with a producer named A.B. Eastwood. He's like actually a very well-known producer here in Nashville. Me and him worked together. We co-produced Lauren McClinton's album.
Congratulations! It's another very exciting project.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Yeah. So him and a couple other producers were really like in my ear, telling me like, bro, like you really need to start producing. You know what I'm saying? And so you got the skills and all that stuff, like you just have to start doing it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to. I kind of tried to do it before, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I need some guidance.
Yeah.
So what happened was at the beginning of 2019, every Friday for about 5 months, AB like took me under his wing. And, like, gave me lessons on how to produce. And it was cool because like he was showing me the stuff and then we would make beats together. And from that, did that for a couple months, and that's how we started making some of the instrumentals for Don.
Yeah.
And we did that, and then me, him, and another producer named Sage, we made a team together called the 440 Project. And we started doing like lo-fi hip-hop kind of stuff. So it really like started from there. So I've been doing it for about over a year, some change now.
And that's big, and now you have your own album that you've produced yourself.
Yes.
A budding producer and now an actual producer producing his own work of art. And I've listened to it. It's a very, very interesting album. It's so nostalgic, it's exciting. And just walk us through the creative process. What was it like creating the whole project? Because now you're used to being supporting other artists and working with them and behind the shadow. Now it's your turn to be finally in the spotlight,
Yeah. It's a different take. It's a different take for sure. So, the whole process really started. So like I said, like once me and AB, we were making stuff together. Really what it was like I would do the instruments, like the piano, bass, all those others, and he would do like the drums. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what he was saying, he was like, all right, bro, you're like 50% of the way there, like you need to start producing drums too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know, I don't know if this is, But he's like, bro, just start doing it. He's like, don't worry about how it sounds in the beginning, like just approach it how you did it, all your other things, it takes practice.
Yes.
So, and that's what I did. Like, I just started, I'm like, you know what, I gotta get over myself, I just gotta start doing it, and I started doing it. And, it was kind of a slow startup, but then what started to happen was that I started to notice that some of my beats, they were getting better. And then I'm like, wait, some of these beats are like potential songs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not a whole bunch of just beats. So what I did was I made a folder. So I'm like, okay, these are beats. So I'm like, okay, it's just an instrumental beat, cool. And then these are ones where it's like, this can grow into something bigger. And I started listening to them more, and then like these ideas started to come to my head. This idea of like, okay, who could be on this song?
Yeah.
Then I started hearing Lauren's voice on it. I started hearing Evan's voice. I started hearing like Rashad the poet. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I would sit with it for a while, and I was praying on it, and like, all right, if I send these people my stuff, like, I hope that they like it.
Yes.
So some of them I sent to them, some of them I actually had to come over to my place.
Yeah.
And listen to it. And I remember they sat there, they listened to it, and they loved it. I'm like, okay, cool, so like, this can actually be something.
And so how long ago is this? Because you said you've been a producer for now, or you've been a producer in training for 1 year. And then, so when is all of this now happening? During the training, or is it after?
So I remember really it started actually, I took a trip, I went out to LA last year for 4th of July. And I just remember having this idea of like, you just got this feeling like, I feel like something's about to happen. Some body of work is about to like come out of
you.
It's just not there yet.
You're about to
Yeah. Like something about to get birthed. So,
sheesh, man.
Yeah, so I remember, went out there, just had a good time. And what was so cool was that I was listening, just catching my ear to all the music that I was hearing. So I'm, downloading. And a lot of the beats and songs that I make, they're kind of like reference songs to something else. I kind of jump off of an idea of something else I've heard. And I'm like, man, I should do something like that, So I was hearing all this kind of like new sounds and new music out there, and then when I came back, I just like dove into it. And actually, one of the first one of the first songs that I made on the project was actually Smooth Talk with Evan.
Yeah.
That was one of the first ones that I made. That one and Come Together. So I made those two, and those are the first two where I was kind of like, I like these.
I like these.
Yeah,
I did a good job.
I feel good about it. You know, I felt like somebody else will like it too.
Yeah.
So I made those, and I kind of sat with it for a while. You know, I worked on it some more. And then I finally, you know, I let Evan listen to it. And he, you know, just loved it and jumped right into it. And got it recorded and everything. So then it just kind of slowly started to grow from there. The funny thing is the Let It Play project had about 4 or 5 different drafts.
Yeah.
You know, 4 or 5 different versions. Like, all right, let me try these. Like, I was always putting in new songs and then taking songs out until the whole project became cohesive. That was kind of like the starting journey of it. And then, really the big blessing for me with this project was honestly the lockdown.
Yes.
You know, the whole shutdown. You know, because everybody we're doing work from home now. So it's like I had so much more time on my hands. Like, just an amount of time to produce that I've never had before.
Yeah.
And I think that's been a really good thing for a lot of artists this year. That's why we're having all these great albums and stuff coming out. Because like everybody just has more time to sit with their art, to really meditate on it, and like let it manifest. And like, all right, I'm just gonna put my all into it.
Yeah.
You know, because it's one thing I've learned this year is like, don't take anything for granted. If I could go back to the last show I did this year, like before all this happened, like I would have given it like 100% more. You know, just because like I didn't know that was gonna be my last show for like a couple months. You know, so you know, now luckily I've been out playing again. You know, not as much, but like just that opportunity, you know, to be out performing. Honestly.
Okay. I think everyone misses doing the norm, being able to go to a grocery store without having to wear a mask.
Yeah.
You know, the normal, simple things. People miss doing that. Now that you're a producer and you've earned the title of producer here in Nashville, so what's your feel of the climate? Is it more of a climate where there are not enough Black producers who want to actually produce great works of art, or it's more about mass producing and getting ahead of the competition and the game and so forth? Because when I was listening to your work, I could sense that, okay, you actually put in time into this and everything was thought through. Because sometimes when albums are produced, you'd have 2, 3, 4 great songs, and then the rest like, they help make up the album. But on your album, every track from the beginning to the end, it makes sense and flows, and it's absolutely amazing.
Alright. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Welcome.
I'm glad you liked it.
I did.
A piece of that is probably one reason why I put so much time into it. Like I was saying earlier, with like the lockdown, you know, quarantine and everything, I took advantage of the time.
Yeah. Which is hard as an artist. Artists procrastinate a lot. Myself included, it's hard to focus.
Yeah, that's true. So like, I was kind of noticing the trend of like, everybody was trying to move really fast.
Yeah.
You know, it was like everybody was just putting out work.
Yeah, the ones that hits, the one hits.
Yeah, just throwing it out. And like, at first, I was getting a little discouraged by that. One, because I wasn't out performing.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, all right, I'm starting to feel less relevant. I'm like, are people gonna?
Yeah, I feel like it is something season.
Yeah. I'm like, because honestly, at first, originally, I wanted this project to be out this summer.
Yeah. And
I'm so glad it didn't work out that way. Like this was supposed to have been out back in like May.
Yeah.
If that would have happened, in my honest opinion, with everything that's happened, I think all that stuff would just washed over, and you know, it wouldn't have had that time to really shine on its own without everything else that's going on.
Yeah.
But I wanted my work to be devoted to like taking its time. Any creative idea that I have, I need to do like a trial and error run with it, and like I just want to try it out. And with that, a lot of new ideas will come into play. You know, art is one of those things where it's like it's never really finished. It's just at some point it's abandoned.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, well, I'm gonna keep on working on this song until I feel like, you know what, I don't wanna do anything else with it
Yeah.
anymore. So, but yeah, like I said, I just took advantage of that time.
And now the artists, who were the artists on the album?
So we had Lauren Clinton, Vibe Out,
Yes.
Ro, or Rochelle Smith, she goes
Yes.
by Ro, Rashad the Poet, Ali Burgess,
Yeah.
and Evan Ackman.
Oh, you have quite a roster. You have celebrity friends. All those people you mentioned, it's people who are actually established and they know what they're doing and they have a great following. So
Yeah.
we have a really good start as producer.
Well, those are my peoples. You know,
Yeah.
I work, you know, I play with all of them. Yeah, I think the first one was Lauren.
Yes.
Actually, me and Lauren met back in 2016. We were performing with an artist in Nashville called Trez.
Yeah.
She was singing backup for him, and I was playing for him, and that's how me and her met. And I think she was still a student at this at the time, actually. So me and her connected. You know, so I played for her, and then through her, I met Evan.
Yes.
From there. So it just kind of kept growing from there. From Evan, I met Brandon Ahmad. And from Brandon Ahmad, I met Vibe Out. Me and Ro, we went to TSU together.
Yeah.
So I've known Ro ever since.
Yeah, Nashville is such a small community. It's big, but it's so small. Everyone knows everyone. Can't hide anything.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's connected to somebody.
Yes.
Somehow. So all these people, like, I've known them for a while, and they're artists that I trust, and I'm actually a fan of their work.
Yeah.
As well. And I'm a fan of their work ethic at the same time, you know, because me and my work ethic, you know me, like, I'm like, you know, we gonna work, and we gonna get this thing right. So, you know, and they all have that same approach. It's like, you know, I'm in this with you, so like, let's get this done, let's make this right, let's make some beautiful music. So that's why, for my first project, I'm like, these are the ones I'm gonna call.
Definitely, and let's talk about those tracks that have these artists. Let's start with the first one with Lauren Clinton. What's the song about?
Yeah, Perfect Stranger. So it's funny, I had to ask her. So just disclaimer, all the songs with the featured artists, they wrote the lyrics.
Ooh.
So it's actually their story.
Yes.
You know, because it was a funny thing when I let a couple people listen to Lauren's song. You know, her first line is Mr. John, and everybody's looking at me like, you writing about me? I'm like, no, like, it's not my story. You know, it's her story. That song, in my opinion, on the project, that's kind of like one of my heavy hitters on the project. I held on to that beat for a while because I didn't know what to do with it. And I let AV listen to it. And when AV listened to the beat, he was like, yo, like, who are you gonna put on that? I'm like, I don't have any idea, like, what do you think? He's like, you should give it to Lauren. And I was like, okay, I like that idea. So I sent it to her because me and
I think it was not a biased opinion.
No, I don't think it was a biased opinion. Yeah. Shout out to AV.
See you, AV.
Yeah, but so yeah, he told me, he was like, yo, you should give it to Lauren. So okay, I like that idea. I'll do that. So I sent it to her, and it's funny because that was the last song that I got. Yeah. You know, I didn't have to beg her for it, but I was like, Lauren, you got me. Like, I need it. Like, you're like the last one. Like, I need this last piece of the puzzle. You know what I'm saying? So she finally came through for me. And when she sent it, and it was just so funny how, like, the story behind my beat. Yeah. And then just the story that she puts into it, like how it just meshed. Yeah. You know, how we both kind of had the same mindset. It never communicated that's what our ideas were behind the song.
And side story, when I met Rashad, I was convinced I knew him. I was so convinced.
Yeah.
I was like, I know you from somewhere.
Yeah, and I just kept looking at you. I'm like, that's a great pickup line. I was like,
on him, and I wasn't that honest. But anyway, okay, cool. So that was the song with Lauren. The song with Rashad.
With Rochelle?
Yeah, how did that song come about?
Oh, so that one, out of these records, I was listening to like a lot of old gospel records. And I can't remember which song it was, but there was like a certain chord progression that I was doing. And I didn't like copy it, but I kind of approached.
Did you use inspiration from it?
Yeah, that was kind of like the inspiration behind it. And I made, and like I said, like some of these songs have first drafts versions to it. Yes. So her song, like I made it, and I remember I sent it to her. She loved it, and she came over, recorded, We got everything straight. And over time, over the quarantine time, as I was listening to this stuff, I'm like, this stuff, it needs more. You know what I'm saying? I gotta beef it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So I kind of like, her song was the first one that I went back to and like redid. And if you notice, in the first part of it, it has like this chorus, right, of her singing, and she says, "You need to wake up your mind," and like the song like transitions to like another country, something like that. Yeah. So like I kind of did that, and then and that was like the first like experimental song.
Yeah, it was. It had a little something.
Yeah. Kinda, I was like, I want to play around with this a little bit, and I was really nervous because I'm like, I feel good about it. I'm like, I don't know how she's gonna feel, because I basically taken her song that we agreed on and it's like flipped it, you know. But then I sent it back to her and she loved it, and she's like, yo, like that's hard.
Yeah,
right,
she's a great artist, and she's very real. Yeah. All right, the next one, song with Rashad the Poet, your namesake. I think that's what it's called, right? So that's for the namesake. But you guys share the same name. Yeah,
Rashad the Poet. Rashad the Poet, man, that's my guy. We go back a couple years. It's so funny, like when I first started performing with him, people started confusing him with me. Like, calling me Rashad the Poet. I'm like, I don't do poetry, I don't rap. I really wish I could. You know what I'm saying? But like that's
they wouldn't even do it. They wouldn't even do it.
Yeah. So like, I'm not Rashad the Poet. So, but it's kind of the same thing. It's like, you know, I made something, and then like it's just I heard his voice on it, you know. It's like kind of one of those things where it's like, you know, my friend, I'm like, who am I hearing on it?
Yeah.
You know? Because I'm like, if it's not, my process is, if it's an instrumental, it'll just be instrumental. I'm like, do I hear myself singing on it at all? Okay. If I don't, somebody else needs to do this. And that's kind of what it was. Each process, like, yo, Rashad the Poet is one that you need to hear for this.
Let's talk about the last artist. Let's just wrap it up. Let's talk about Evan.
I felt it. I was like, okay, I need to have one pop song.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to have something that just hits right from the downbeat. And you know, something people can dance to, something that just feels good. And I mean, really, just as soon as I started, I'm like, okay, this isn't a song for me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, who do I need to get? And I kept listening to it, and I'm like, Evan.
The white.
I was like, that's the one I need to call. And that process was like so easy, you know, because that's just right in his lane.
Yeah.
You know, I sent it to him. He kind of like recorded a demo. You know, I said, all right, cool. Let's come back to my place.
Yeah.
Let's kind of clean it up a little bit. We did it in like 2 sessions.
That's very efficient.
Oh yeah. A lot of my stuff was done, you know, within only 2 sessions, 2 or 3. I think.
So the album, I mean, it's all over the place, but in a good way, and it makes sense. There's pop music, there's R&B, and so forth. The last track is very conscious. It's very conscious, and especially to what's happening to us around us right now in the United States of America. So when you wrote that song, was it during I put an uprising, during the American uprising, when it comes to racial injustice and so forth, or was it something that you had already written prior to that?
So it was 2 of them on there. Where Do We Go From Here and the Playhouse joint. So the Playhouse joint was actually one that I made kind of prior to the uprising.
Yes.
I just wanted a song on there that was just kind of like a party.
Yeah.
You could just tell that you were at like a nightclub. You know, everybody's just there just having a good time. And what really happened was, it happened right after George Floyd.
Yeah.
When that happened, you know, that was kind of the first time ever in my life to where I really felt like, okay, like I need to say something in my project with this. Like I can't let my project go without speaking about the current times and what's happening.
And it's not even courage, it's something that's been happening.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's always,
now so that it's coming again back into the light now.
Yeah, and just in such a way to where, you know, for me, thinking back to when I was a kid, we learned about this stuff, you know, in the history books, and like we know about this stuff happening in the past, but it's just like the way my childhood was, I never really saw it to where it would be like this. And where it would kind of like come back in this way to where like nobody can avoid it. It's there for everybody to see. And you know, and it's still, it's hard to come to terms with. It's hard to like make sense of. And it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, I never really thought that this is the way it was going to be. But yeah, so nonetheless, I went back to the playoffs joint. And I'm like, okay, I feel like there's a space in there where I can say it. And I was trying to come up with like a theory or an idea. So when you listen to it, the song, obviously, you can tell like we're at the playoffs joint. We're at this club. Everybody's having a good time. And then when I start talking about the first line, it says, well, why you gotta kill my people on bended knee? Enough of this police brutality. It makes me want to scream. So, you know, why you gotta kill my people on bended knee? That's talking about George Floyd. So what I did was I came with this idea. I said, all right, when I say this line, you know, why you gotta kill my people on bended knee the first time. Then the second time is, but you still put a bullet in my back just because my skin is black. I took out the audio of the party. So where it's almost like you step into another room, like a silent like booth or something. And like the people are right in front of your face, to where, you know, they say the words to you to where you can't avoid it. It's right there in front of your face. And then after that, it's kind of like, all right, scratch that. Let's go back to the party. You know what I'm saying? Because also in my culture, that's something that I've kind of been accustomed to.
We numb the noise and everything that's affecting us. We're just gonna go into that.
That's what we're known for. You know, we're like, you know, we're gonna turn up regardless. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna let it, you know what I'm saying, stop us necessarily. Which can be a good and bad thing sometimes. So that was that one. And then where do we go from here was actually a beat that I made last year in 2019. And that one originally was on the project to just be instrumental. A lot less instruments and all that stuff. And then I just kind of had this idea. I was like, I should kind of do a bigger number. So I pulled out my trumpet, pulled out my viola. I got a flute. I don't really play the flute at all, but I was like, if I can like just find a note and, you know what I'm saying, just kind of put that in there. And I grabbed some hand drums and all that stuff too. So I wanted to do like a full orchestral piece. And it wasn't even a thing where it's like I wanted to say a lot. I just wanted to say the chords. Let those words stick with you. You know what I'm saying? Just let the music, let it play.
Let it play.
So let the music play, and then I said I want to come back and I want to say something else. And I kind of use the same tool to where I kind of shrink the room a little bit and let the vocals really get into your ear with what I'm saying. So that's where those ideas came from.
Definitely. Also, I mean, this time has also been very great for Black businesses and up and coming entrepreneurs. It's how it highlights them, because for the first time, the black people across the world, they are being highlighted for how they contribute to society, because people weren't aware that Black people do so much and give back so much. And I like the t-shirt. I really like it. Do you want to tell us about that?
I do want to tell you about the t-shirt. So this says creators, and there's a bunch of writing on the back.
Let's see the writing. Let's see what the writing says. I want to read it. Okay, let me read.
You can read it.
Okay, it says, conscious clothing. The community of creators can't be boxed in. We were born and molded to do what is best for the greater good in the name of art. We drive, we strive, we thrive in the name of creation and expression. Amen.
Amen. Alright, so this is a t-shirt. His name is Trey Avery. He's actually one of my bond brothers. Me and him went to TSU together. I had the chance a while ago to actually model this shirt. So he has his brand's creators community and designs conscious clothing. He has this in white and black, and he has like other shirts and stuff that he's done in the past. So feel free to follow him on Instagram. His name is Trey Avery. I think his @ sign is somewhere right there. You can follow him. So no, I always try to make sure that I support Black businesses and you know, definitely support the people that I know, and my sister. The same way, my sister is a seamstress. She has her own alteration business, recreation design. So she has her whole thing. You can follow her right here.
Okay, so it's exciting. And what about reading? Are you reading any Black books written by Black authors?
Yeah, so I love to read. Actually, these are a list of books that I've read. Four Agreements was one of the books that I just finished not too long ago. I'm reading this book right now, Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. Yeah, he's from South Africa too.
Oh yeah, and I think I'm also from South Africa. So.
Yeah, exactly. This is a good book. So I actually have one close friend, she's a childhood friend of mine. Her name is Tiaja Cockrell.
Yeah.
She's an author, and she wrote this book called East Side Secrets.
Yeah.
She released it last September. She released it. It's a very good book. It's kind of like a nostalgic.
What is it about?
It's kind of like a nostalgic, like high school, kind of like a high school drama-ish kind of story.
I like that. I didn't know what the book about, but now you're telling me, because now it's reminding me of television series and books that are usually written by authors who are not African, you know?
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Yeah. So this is another great book to tap into. Her name's Tiaja Cockrell. You can follow her on Instagram, and her name's like right there. Follow that. But yeah, great author. She sells jewelry.
Yeah.
I mean, she does a lot. But yeah, this is another great read.
Hopefully it gets turned into a series. And then
I think she's supposed to be putting out a second book.
That's exciting.
So yeah, but yeah, that's stuff that I love to do.
Okay. All right, that wraps up the interview for Music Mondays. Thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you to Rashad for having us and letting us into his project. It's called Let It Play, and it's out. Be sure to follow him on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and in person. I'm kidding.
Yes.
They're following in person.
Yes. Yeah.
You can find me.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, on Facebook you can find me just my name, Rashad Sylvester, and then on Instagram, Twitter, it's all the same. It's just @SoundsByShad. So that's my name.
Yes. So we're very excited. I hope you do love the album. I do love it from first track all the way to the last track. And yeah, we'll see you in the next episode, and hopefully we'll be interviewing you soon. And that's it.